We're live. This is episode 110 of the Battle of Ohio podcast. The Browns finished off the Steelers this week, even though it looked like they might not there for a second. But hey, finishing games, what a concept. You know, good that they actually did that. The Bengals are up against the Jets this week, and they're looking to avoid an 0-3 start. But I'm going to tell you why I'm not really worried about that whole thing anymore. I think they're going to be fine. I think it's going to be good, and we'll talk about that. But finally, I'm really enjoying the fortunes of that ugly black and yellow team up northwest. Because why, Thomas?
Because Pittsburgh still sucks.
That's right, they still suck. Let's get it.
Welcome to the Battle of Ohio podcast, where we follow the revival of the historic rivalry between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns.
All right, so I guess we should probably go ahead and jump into talking about the Browns game because, normally, this is the preview episode where we preview the games that are coming up. But the Browns played on Thursday; their game's already over, so we need to talk about what we saw. My biggest takeaway from this game is that the Browns damn near blew that lead, damn near blew that game to the Steelers. But they didn't, which is important. The fact that they didn't. They finished it off, which is something my team is unable to fucking do, apparently. And then, in addition to that, not only did they finish the game off, but they finished it off in the most Browns way ever, but in reverse. Right? So, the most Browns way ever to lose a game is basically to be like behind. You sort of have a vague chance of maybe doing this incredible comeback at the end, but then, just insult to injury, your quarterback gets sacked and then he fumbles and then the other team scores another touchdown to make the score look way worse than it really was. And you're just over here, what do I got to do? What do I got to do to see a good football team? This time, Thomas, y'all did it to somebody else.
That's just great, man. Because Steelers fans, man, they were so mad, man. We had the Pittsburgh suck chants going on and everything, man. It was great. It was great, man. Look. Let me tell you. Let me tell you, man. I never had such a good time at a game. It's been a very long time since I had such a good time at a Browns game, especially. Let me tell you this though. You say they almost blew a lead. Well, that's fine. They only gave up 3 points in their entire second half. So, in the day, that it is what it is. Jacoby looked good. I'll tell you this. The first half, you've seen a very even game. You've seen two teams that look like they were on short rest, but it looked like there was no defense that first half. But what you've seen was a lot of long drives in this game. You've seen a lot of long, sustainable drives. I didn't think what I was watching I thought that Pittsburgh was emptying out the playbook to move the ball downfield. They were finding, they were using their best plays to score points, and that got them 2 touchdowns. By emptying out the playbook, that got them 2 touchdowns on the Browns defense. That's it. The Browns, on the other hand, was moving the ball down the field with Jacoby Brissett. They were able to score 2 touchdowns alone with just Jacoby Brissett and Cooper. They were able to score multiple times. They looked good. In fact, in the second half, the thing that's most encouraging to me is in the second half, the very first drive the Browns had in the second half was 7 minutes long. And the second drive was 6.5 minutes long. The first one ended in a field goal, and the second one was a touchdown. That's almost a whole quarter just controlling the ball. That's almost a whole quarter slowing the ball down. And when you do that, when you punish the Steelers on the ground with the run, you do one thing, you force Mr. Trubisky to have to pass the ball. With a great secondary that we have, like I said, those were just lapses, and we clean up those lapses, things go well. With the secondary that you have, with a quarterback like Mr. Trubisky, he's not going to beat you. Don't let him beat you either. So, that it was good. It was a good win. It was a good win.
So here's why I said that, by the way. I wasn't like obviously the defense did play well in the second half. Obviously, you only let 3 points go in the second half. What I'm saying is basically like, you like you guys came back because you were down a point at halftime. You guys came back and you built this lead, 23-14, and then you kind of let the Steelers get some momentum. Mitch Trubisky's making some good passes, doesn't get it all the way done, but you almost give the Steelers the opportunity to go get a touchdown. They just that with the too many men penalty on the field, it's just the Steelers elected to go for the field goal anyway, but they kind of needed to, and then they have another opportunity to go back down the field, and that opportunity, Thomas, was almost there because you guys damn near gave away another onside kick. And I fully actually believe if you guys had given away that onside kick, like another onside kick that was not fielded properly, it just happened to bounce the right direction. And
out of bounds.
But fair. It turned out fine, but my whole point is that it almost didn't. And I mean, you're like that close from giving the Steelers, basically life.
But okay, wait, hold up. Okay, this is why I fucking hate this. Like, all right, so when we lose to the Jets, right? Every single one of the things that happen for us to lose to the Jets has to be these perfect, like 3 perfect things had to happen for 3 very unlikely things had to happen for us to lose to the Jets. We don't get that shit. We don't get that. We don't get that at all. We don't. We don't get, oh, well, what are the chances of your kicker mixing the extra point? The defense can't get converting, or the offense on the other side converting a 3rd and 17 with 1 timeout left and scoring a touchdown, and the offense getting an offside kick. What are the chances of all that stuff happening? And then what are the chances of a 37-year-old quarterback driving the ball 98 yards down the field to score a touchdown with only a minute left on the clock? What are the chances of all those things happening? Those are all like extreme scenarios where in a million years, let me say this. 1 out of 257 times to be exact, that is likely not to happen. But when that happens, they get all the blame. But when they win by more than 10 points, it's like, well, Thomas, you almost lost that game. So it's a double-edged sword here. It's just how do we paint the Browns in a negative light? Because, Kyle, I'm not just blaming you because you're not the only one. You're not the only one. I'm talking about national people, and I'm talking about bigger than people. But, I'm going to, the biggest thing, the reason why I've been smiling all week since Sunday after they blew that loss against the Jets. So the reason why I have been smiling all week is because I had this realization that Jacoby Brissett can win 6 games with this team. And I think that's a fear that is secretly in every single NFL mind, because if you give Deshaun Watson this team, that's going to be deadly. But that special teams does scare me. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna front.
Okay.
I ain't gonna have fun.
I'm gonna real quick. I'm gonna tell you why you're wrong, and then I'm gonna tell you why you're also right. Because I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. Like the second half of what you said was about damn spot on. But the first half of what I'll say is it's like the thing that was like the 1 in a million chance of happening of you guys blowing that game. That basically. That part happened. You guys got a little bit of luck back on your side by the onside kick bouncing out of bounds, but the part where you guys didn't field it properly and gave the Steelers an opening, that happened, and then the ball bounced out of bounds. But I'm just saying like the part where it's just like the 1 in a million chance that is your guys' fault, that did happen. And I don't know if Mitch Trubisky goes down the field and scores, because obviously, the Browns kind of kicked his butt on the last play of the game.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the last play of the game, it's like, they're on the 4-yard line. Mitch Trubisky doesn't really have a lot of room to like scramble in the back, which is kind of what he's, particularly good at. So you kind of took away everything that Mitch Trubisky has that he can do well. And so, yeah, it's just like they basically they had a chance at the end of the game because the defense did get that stop, but they didn't really have a chance. Like they didn't really have a chance because you took away the one thing Mitch Trubisky can do. But okay, so that's why you're wrong, because I do think it is kind of concerning the fact that this is the second week in a row and you almost lost a lead the exact same way. That said, I'll tell you why you're right, because you're right. I am somewhat terrified of the idea of the Browns winning a decent number of games with Jacoby Brissett and then getting Deshaun Watson back. That said, I'm not as concerned about it as you are alleging, because I will say the one thing is I'm still not entirely sure Deshaun Watson's going to come back and be any good for the end of the year, because he's going to be cold. He wasn't actually particularly good the last time he played. I know he has been very, 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 very good in his career, but the last time we saw him play, he wasn't that damn good. So I don't know. Maybe there was some stuff on his mind at that time, but there's been plenty on his mind lately. So, and he hasn't played in 2 years. I'm not 100% sure. But I will say though, Jacoby Brissett, man, I got to tip my hat. Jacoby Brissett is starting to look pretty good, and if there's a chance that the Browns are going to make this whole thing work, it's got to start with Jacoby Brissett playing well, and he is doing that. So you've got the right start. The Browns are getting off on somewhat of the right foot when it comes to actually making this crazy thing where they actually are competitive this year happen. Jacoby Brissett is sort of making that happen. Now, I will say you're in the easy part of your schedule right now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'll give you that.
And later on, it's just are you guys going to basically have the same, is Jacoby Brissett going to play the same way against the Chargers, Ravens, Bengals, Dolphins, Bills, or Buccaneers? I don't know if he is. So, but that's my thing. He's been doing this against the Steelers and the Jets and the Panthers. It's not exactly high quality competition.
Well, it's still his defense, isn't it? The Steelers defense aren't chumps. He looked good against
without TJ Watt. They are.
Yeah, well, they still got me. But the reason why the Browns offense is so successful is because of those running backs. Those running backs, all right. So So the offense looks good. You got Njoku looking good, and you have Cooper doing his thing. So you got two receivers. You got Donovan Peoples-Jones being reliable. So our receiver core is not as bad as we once with the offseason. But when you have a running back, you have the best running back. But it's the best running back core in the league. Nick Chubb, and just watching Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt go at it, man, they tired out defenses. You got this misconception of the Browns all you want about how bad they are and how we're going to stop them, but people are struggling. These teams are struggling stopping Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and they're nice. That's why.
that is true. The Browns right now are not playing particularly well on defense. At times they are. Obviously, they did fairly well against the Steelers, but it's the Steelers. Come on. But the Browns in general don't look great on defense right now, and that's kind of a problem. And then it's just I know Jacoby Brissett has been playing well, but how much of that is the competition right now? We'll see what happens when he plays some really good defenses. But you do really, really have that. That is genuinely a fantastic offensive line y'all got, and Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are genuinely fantastic running backs. So you do have that advantage. And if Kevin Stefanski is a smart coach, Kevin Stefanski is a very good coach, and he knows he's got an advantage, and he's going to use it as much as he needs to. So I mean, that's the one thing I will say. The Browns do have potential to pull this season off, despite everything that happened. It is possible.
And the biggest thing about it is you got the Falcons coming in next week, so that's good. Then you got the Chargers. with Justin Herbert, who's having injury issues, and you got him at home. Just go 3-1. Let's see what happens. Let's roll because I think you can sneak one off of either the Patriots or the Chargers. But not only just that, right now you're in first place in the division. We're gonna see what happens with the Ravens this weekend, and then you could be a game up on everybody in the division. That's a whole game. Could be 2 games up. You win and lose to the freaking Jets. You know what I mean? Like, just get that, play your schedule, get that easy part of the schedule up. We know we got the Chargers, we know we got the Bills coming up, and the Dolphins. We got to play y'all. Y'all not gonna be easy. I don't care y'all into Joe Burrow's a beast. But you can't take away like with Jay Beasley, man. Jay Beasley, Jacoby Brissett, Jay Beasley. So gangster. They said that after the game Sunday, he told everybody in the locker room, like, y'all can cry about this, we're gonna win. And that's pretty much what I've been saying. He said that we gotta put this behind us, we gotta go win. They've been gloating about his leadership quality. Now I do want to say this about the defense. I do think the defense will improve. They were triple teaming Miles Garrett like crazy. But I do think the defense will improve. You want Jadeveon Clowney back in 2 weeks, more than likely. So you should have him back by the Chargers game. I thought the secondary looked a lot better, especially in the second half. In fact, I thought the secondary looked better in the second half last week's game until they blew that coverage. Until they blew coverage, they were holding the Jets didn't score in the second half until they blew coverage. They blew all their whole lead in like 2 minutes. That was just. And you ask yourself, that was just like a couple of fluke accidents or what, but I still have belief that this defense could be more than respectable this year. Like, there's too much talent.
They could, yeah. They're very talented.
But I will
say possibly losing JOK is going to hurt, though.
No, I think JOK would be probably. What I'm hearing is JOK would be back. He's okay. But Anthony Walker is gone, and that's a concern. Anthony Walker, well, it's more or less his leadership and his vocalness.
I mean, that's fair, but he's not. Let's look. We're gonna talk about Anthony Walker. I got something to say.
Oh no, because I'm pissed off about it. If I know what you want to say, I think I know what you.
Yeah, want to say. I've got something to say when we get to the state of the AFC North. But I'll just say, like, Anthony Walker, it's a shame what happened to him and everything like that. But at the same time, let's not act like Anthony Walker is like, this like big world-beating linebacker. He's good. He's good. He's regularly been the underrated player of the week for me, and I think Thomas, you've picked him a couple of times.
Yeah.
By the way, we got 2 people in the chat. Leave us a comment. We'll put you up on the screen and respond to it. But anyway, Anthony Walker, like I said, shame what happened to him. I'm not trying to talk smack about somebody who just had something horrible happen to him. But I will say, I feel like potentially losing JOK would be a huge hit. Whereas losing Anthony Walker, it's like, I think he can come back from that. Like, the Browns have good depth.
Yeah, I think JOK would be back. JOK would be fine. From what I'm hearing is he's more or less banged up than it being a severe injury. And then we got 10 days to rest. I don't want to take the Falcons lightly, because who are we to take the Falcons lightly? We need to get every single win we could get. But if Jacoby Brissett stay consistent with Cooper, and Cooper can still make plays that he's making, and if Njoku can still make plays that he's making with that running back room, if the defense, the offense looks great, if that defense can step it up, the Browns might shock a couple of people. They might be able to sneak up on a couple of teams. The thing that concerns me the most at this point actually is the special teams, because like you said, you gotta clean some of this shit up. Like, the kicker's missing extra points, but he's making field goals.
Is this why you draft the kicker, Thomas?
But you still draft the kicker, yeah, because I still think Kate York's gonna be fine.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
Evan McPherson had a few weird games last year.
Yeah, they're young. I think Evan McPherson's gonna be fine too. I think that they're too talented.
Yeah, for sure.
The special teams just look bad. Like, it's just like I shouldn't notice special teams. Like, I shouldn't notice how bad. Like, special teams, you shouldn't notice. It's like the refs. You shouldn't notice the refs. I shouldn't know who the refs are. I shouldn't know, damn, this motherfucker. Like I shouldn't notice special teams like I notice special teams. The only time I should notice special teams when I do something extremely good. But I don't want to notice my special teams. I want to be able to walk away from the television when special teams come on. People in the stadium were afraid to lose, even though we knew we had the game, because they were like, "No, we've seen this one before." Literally, 65,000 people said that. I don't know if 65,000 people said that or not, but I can tell you, at least the 500 people that were sitting around me said that shit. All 500. My friend next to me was like, "I'm going home." I was like, "No, I'm staying." Like, why? Because I'm a Browns fan. I know how this shit goes.
Yep.
And I don't believe in curses. I yell from the rooftop how much I don't believe in curses and jinxes and all this bullshit. I always texted Sir Yacht. So Yacht was like, "Thomas, stop fucking texting me." Look, Thomas, stop fucking texting me. You want to jinx this game, motherfucker.
I guess before we move on from this game, though, real quick, we don't normally do this at this point in the podcast, but because we only have one game to talk about, let's go ahead and name the underrated player of the week for the Browns.
Okay.
I'll let you go first, or do you want me to go first?
You go first. I didn't think about this for a second because I wasn't sure you were going to do it today or you were going to do it Monday. So I was like, yeah, there's a chance you do it Monday, so I take my time. Let me think about it. Give me like 2 seconds.
Normally, but I just figured since it's fresh, we'll go ahead and do it now. But for me, I'm going to give it to Jacob Phillips, the linebacker.
Okay.
Because the fact of the matter, he wasn't like amazing during this game or anything like that, but he's not. People don't normally think like, oh, who do you worry about on the Browns? Oh, Jacob Phillips, that's the guy you worry about. But the fact of the matter is, he was really solid against the pass this week, both in coverage and he got a sack on Mitch Trubisky. Didn't do so well defending against the run, but I think that's part of why I'm saying he's underrated. I think he was, part of the reason why the Browns won this game and had such a good defensive performance in the second half. Because he was bullying Mitch Trubisky the whole game.
Yeah.
So I got to give a shout out to Jacob Phillips just for that.
So I'm actually going to go with the punter. I don't know the punter's name. Forgive me.
Well,
yeah. Okay, so of course you know who he is.
He used to be the Packers punter, and he has a really interesting name, so it's easy to remember.
So I'm going with the punter. I thought that punt, he had a couple great punts, especially the punt at the very end of the game where he very pinned the. If the one bright spot is ironic because I've been saying special team scares me. The one bright spot of special teams, the punter had some really nice punts. That's one of the things I love about going to football games and watching punts because they go so high. You're just like, oh, look at the punt, yeah. And then you see the giant.
The Browns fan would get really excited about going to a game and watching punts.
No, because I like everything about football. I like everything. No, you know what's crazy is my friend is not a Browns fan, and one thing I love about going to both times to the game, the thing that I love about going to the Browns game this year is the elf. The elf is so cool. The elf is so cool, and I don't care what nobody say. The elf is awesome. Like if somebody takes that elf away from me, I swear to God, if somebody takes that elf away from me, I will find that person. I will go to their house and I will Karen them. I will Karen all over you if you take away my elf.
Okay. I agree, by the way, the elf is cool. Like y'all are getting slaughtered over that elf, and I don't understand why. It's cool. Like
it's awesome.
It's different. It's I guess I get it's a little weird, but it's like it's different. It's unique. It's not like the same old thing all the time. Like I kind of like it,
Yeah.
I kind of wish the Bengals would bring back their old running tiger logo.
You know what's crazy about it is like it's awesome because like it's just like under the lights it was just so iconic for one, but the reason why I like it so much is like just seeing a team just line up on an elf. It's like you create a team on NCAA football or Madden. You're like, yeah, let's put the giant brownie elf in the middle of the field. Like, wouldn't it be cool if they just did this one? And they did it, and it's just so cool to look. Like you just sit and look at it like, yeah, that's that thing. Like it's just like you just be like just sit on the field and just look at it. You'd be like,
yeah, it's a cool logo.
Yeah, especially especially when you're in the right vibes,
Yeah, for sure. All right. So let's go ahead and move on then. So we got Corey Bajorquez and Jacob Phillips are underrated players of the week. But let's go ahead and move on and talk about the Bengals. Obviously no game to talk about, but we need to preview basically what's going on. They're going to play the Jets, which seems like an easy task, but trust me, it isn't. I mean, ask Thomas. It's definitely not. Or ask me last year. The Jets are not an easy task, even though they might seem like an easy task. Then again, the Bengals do own Joe Flacco, so I mean, maybe we have a chance. But I don't know if there's ever been more of a must-win situation in Week 3. At least as far as the Bengals go, like I don't know if we've ever had more of a must-win type of game, because like we had such high expectations going into this season, and I already talked about in the last podcast how I don't feel like all these 0-2 statistics, like if you start 0-2, it's really hard to come back from that. Like I don't really think it's that big of a deal with this particular team. Part of the reason. It's tough because this was supposed to be the easy part of our schedule, but still, part of the reason I'm not worried about it is don't forget, like last year, the Bengals basically started 0-2. They didn't because, like you remember Week 1 against the Vikings last year, Thomas, and we almost
I do remember that game.
We almost pathetically lost that game. Like we totally should have won that game, and we almost blew it at the end. But then Dalvin Cook fumbled at the end, and I think he fumbled, but it's also, you could really make the argument that he didn't fumble and that his knee was down. And so and if his knee's down, the Vikings, get the field goal, they win that game. And then, and then there was the whole debacle with the Bears the next week. So it's just like, we really, really, really could have been 0-2 last year. And
I remember y'all playing against the Packers. I remember y'all giving the Packers a really good game. And I remember
that was the other thing. We had some rough games to start last year, and we still went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so, I remember y'all playing the Packers that one game, and I remember thinking to myself, whoa. And I remember me and you both got on this podcast, and then we both said the same thing. You were like, man, call me crazy, Thomas, but because then y'all lost to the Packers, right?
Yeah, because Evan McPherson missed 2 field goals.
Yeah, so you were like, I just remember you call me crazy, Thomas, but I like what they seen against a really good team. And I was like, yeah, no, they look nice. They look good. Yeah. They look good. There's something to be told. There's something to be said about teams there are teams in sports that start off slow. The Cleveland Guardians, every single year, the Cleveland Indians, Guardians, whatever you want to call them, start the season off slow, and they come back to the pack, and they always go on. They always finish at least first or second in division because they figure out the field, they figure out their kinks. And I think that in football, especially, football is the one sport that people overreact the most. That's why I'm like, hey, let's chill, because I think a lot of things that we're worried about now won't be worried about in week 15 and 16. Yeah. So what I look at in the first couple of weeks is I look at what are the fixables and what are the unfixables. Like, I think that if there is if talent isn't there, then it's not fixable. Like, if you lost because you simply don't have enough talent, you can't fucking fix that. Like, if your quarterback can't score, your quarterback's never going to score, your season's over, essentially. But you can see it, but mistakes, mental errors, small errors like that, that means that there's reasonable doubt that they can fix this stuff, that this stuff is not going to continue. And with the Bengals, what I'm seeing is there's a lot of things. I don't think the thing that most concerning thing to me is how talented is the offensive line. Can that offensive line gel? That's my biggest question about the Bengals. But there ain't no question in Joe Burrow's talent. There ain't no question in Jamar Chase's talent. There ain't no question some of the talent y'all got on that defense. Y'all got some talent on that defense. Y'all got some talent on that defense, enough to be at least decent. There ain't no question in T. Higgins. So you have there ain't no question in what's his name? Mixon. Y'all got talent.
Yeah, let's rewind for a second. There's no questioning this defense at all. The defense is great. Like my one question is, can y'all please try to get some turnovers? do a little bit better like with pressure because like we're not really getting sacks either. Trey Hendrickson doesn't look like Trey Hendrickson, but they're still stopping other teams. Like they're not really letting a lot of points go. They're coming in clutch in a lot of different situations. So like I mean like this defense, I don't think there's much. I'm not worried about the defense. The offense is what I'm worried about. Like we need to talk about Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and how they're good. Don't worry, guys. Whatever. I don't think we really need to say don't worry about the defense because the defense is fine.
Yeah, I think this is gonna take time. I think this is gonna be a good right game. I don't think that you guys are gonna let Joe Flacco do what Joe Flacco did with the Browns.
We never do. Like I said, we own Joe Flacco.
Yeah, and then I just think that this is just that Jets defense is weak. I just think Joe Burrow is just gonna become Joe Burrow again on Sunday.
That Jets defense, I will say, like my biggest concern about playing the Jets was the fact that they supposedly have a really good defensive line. But the fact of the matter is that defensive line has not really looked like the Jets defensive line this year.
No, they play rough, man. They from what I know is they tackle hard. They tackle really hard. The Jets. They're gonna make you feel them. They're gonna bring the physicality. They're a very physical team.
Sure.
Defense coordinator led team, obviously. So of course they're gonna bring that physicality. They're not the Jets defense aren't slobs, but I still don't think there's anything that Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase can't handle.
So I have one last point I want to make, and then we can move on to predictions. But Joe Burrow was asked by the media various questions about he mentioned like he deleted his social media because he just doesn't want to hear all the nonsense about what everybody's saying about him right now. And he told everybody, and I quote, to relax. Thomas, do you remember the last time a major quarterback made a huge statement to the media that all the fans need to relax and everybody needs to relax?
Yeah, it was. His name was Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, it was Aaron Rodgers, and that was in 2014. That was, and he said that, by the way. It was after week 3, but it was still, it was week 3 that he said that, because the Packers started 1-2.
Yeah,
they had a really bad week 1 loss to the Seahawks, and then they pathetically lost to the Lions in week 3. And they won in week 2, but the point is they started 1-2. And, Packers fans were freaking out and everybody was like, oh, the Packers are washed up. They're not going to be any good, blah, 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 blah. Aaron Rodgers was like RELAX. And Joe Burrow basically just said that. And you know what the Packers went on to do after that game, Thomas?
They made it to the NFC Championship game and lost.
Well, yes, they did that. That's usually it's usually a pretty good bet. If you're gonna what did the Packers do any given year with Aaron Rodgers? If you guess that they lost the NFC Championship, you're probably right. But the point is, after that game, they finished the season 12-4. They won 11 of their final 13 games. They finished the season 12-4, and they ended up in the NFC Championship, a game that they did lose. But they lost in overtime, partially because they lost the coin flip and the Seahawks got a touchdown. So realistically, the Packers could have been in the Super Bowl right after Aaron Rodgers was like RELAX. Now, here's the thing. Am I saying the Bengals are going back to the Super Bowl this year because Joe Burrow said the same thing that Aaron Rodgers said? No, obviously I'm not saying that. But I am saying there's no reason to believe that this season is over. This is what the Bengals did last year, and we've also seen this exact thing happen before in the past in the NFL with a different team. So, if they lose to the Jets, then we're gonna start having some discussions that I'm not exactly excited to have. But if they beat the Jets, man, I know the Jets aren't oh yeah, you beat the Jets, good job. But it's just if we beat the Jets, I'm going to be like, guys, we were slow starters last year. We're going to be slow starters this year too, apparently. But we made it to the Super Bowl last year, slow starters. And the fact of the matter is we have an offensive line that we know has talent. I was just talking about Lyle Collins on the last game. Like he was my underrated player of the week in the last episode because he flashed talent even though he was pretty awful in the pass protection. But the fact of the matter is, I believe that if the Bengals can make it all the way to the Super Bowl, this offensive line, by the time the Super Bowl happens, they'll be much better. I don't know who they'd be playing in the Super Bowl, but I would think Joe Burrow might have an extra 2 seconds at the end of the game to find Jamar Chase burning Jalen Ramsey. So I'm not saying we're going to win the Super Bowl. Bengals actually have to win a game first before I can trust them to do that. But I am saying, don't count the Bengals out just yet, man, because this is still very much par for the course for what the identity of this team has always been.
There's a lot of season left. And you look around the AFCs don't look as good as it did. I don't really think, I don't think the Patriots are going to be as good as advertised. I don't think the Chargers are going to be as good as advertised. We can get on that later. I just don't trust the Chargers. I don't know why. Something about it,
That's the Chargers. Why would you?
Yeah, they haven't. I feel like we crowned.
But then again, you could make the same argument about the Bengals. Why would you ever trust the Bengals after the history?
Well, the Bengals just went to the Super Bowl, and
that's true. Chargers haven't been since the 90s.
Justin Herbert, he hadn't led his team to the playoff yet, and I don't know, man. It's just like they had it last year. They had such a good start last year. They started to, I don't know what it is. Something about it just doesn't make sense to me. The Chargers, I don't know. Chargers just don't scare me as much as some other teams. The Broncos don't look like a powerhouse. Maybe Russ did lose a step. He's not as he doesn't put the. I still believe that it's just a new offense. The book's still out on the Broncos because I did pick them to win the Super Bowl this offseason.
I have something to say about the Broncos, but we kind of need to get into predictions, so I'm going to wait until we talk about the Broncos game to say it.
I don't know. I just think that there's a lot of time. My whole point is there's a lot of time for these Bengals. I still have that theory that 9-7 teams are going to make the playoffs in the AFC. I stick by that. Partly because. Or 9-8 team, I should say.
9-8, okay. I don't know if a 9-8 team is going to make it, but maybe a 10-7 team. 9-8's a lot. I think 9-8 somebody fucked up if the 9-8 team's making the playoffs.
I got $20 on the fact that I think a 9-8 team will make the playoffs. 7 teams make the playoffs, dude. 7 though.
Yeah, but I don't think a 9-8 team is going to make it. The only time a 500 team ever makes it, and we don't have 500 teams anymore, but the only time an 8-8 team ever made the playoffs back when there were only 16 games was when one division was so bad that 8-8 was good enough. And I will say that could be the AFC South. The AFC South might be that bad.
Well, not only just that, but how many years would you say? Well, 10-6 make the playoffs. 9-7 was the game. But I don't know, man. It's one game. I don't know.
I think a 10-7 team will make it, but I don't know about 9-8. But obviously, I'm not telling you what to do.
But either way, though, y'all start off 0-2. Y'all got 15 more weeks to go, so y'all can win 10.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, I think I'll be fine. I think
I'll lose to the Jets. I might be singing this a different tune, but I don't think we'll lose to the
Jets. Y'all playing at home?
No, it's in New York.
I don't think y'all should lose.
I don't think so. But anyway, let's get into the predictions. Obviously are
we doing a state of AFC North out of curiosity?
Yeah, we're doing that. We're going to do that after predictions.
All right, cool. All right, let's get into predictions.
Now, trust me, I have some shit to say in the AFC. We are not skipping that. I have a whole rant. Okay, so let's start though. First game we're going to talk about, we got the Raiders going to Tennessee to play the Titans. Who you got?
Man, it's funny. We just talked about both of those teams last podcast. The crazy thing is that I'm actually going to go with the Titans this game. I thought about going to Raiders. I could go to Raiders, but no, there look to be some problems. There's problems on both these teams. There's problems on both these teams right now. We talk about teams in the AFC not being as good as we thought they were. How about the Raiders? Maybe stuff is starting to creep up on the Raiders. Maybe everything that happened last season is starting to catch up on the Raiders. Maybe like there's a lot of problems they haven't fixed internally. They don't really look good, really, if I'm being real with you. Neither do the Titans. But at least the one thing you can say about the Titans is they had a tough little start of schedule. Getting blown out. There's no shame getting blown out by the Bills. The Bills are the Bills right now. The Bills look like they're pretty good right now. Unfortunately for both of us, they're in our conference.
Yeah, but they lost to the Giants. Like, yeah. I don't know, man. Like,
that's shit. The Giants.
I know the Giants are 2-0, but the Giants,
I know. The thing is that we got to pick from two teams that were good last year that have problems this year. Yeah. And they both are very similar right now with this. So I'm just trying to see which team is least problematic. And I still kind of got faith in the Titans getting together than the Raiders getting together, because I think the Titans are at least a little less dysfunctional than the Raiders are.
That's fair.
So I'm going with the Titans.
Okay.
Still earlier in the season. Crazy teams.
I am also conflicted on this. So to represent how conflicted we both are on this, and partially just for the sake of being contrary, I'm going to go with the Raiders. But yeah. I want to emphasize that this is a coin flip. I'm not confident in either of these teams. Like I'm picking the Raiders because I want to pick the Raiders. Just because, like, why the hell not?
Yeah.
Because I don't really feel good about picking the Titans either. So Raiders, sure. I don't know. And if I'm right, I'm going to come on the podcast and be like, "Hey, Thomas, what were you thinking about those Titans? I was so right about the Raiders." But the reality is, I'm telling you right now, I don't feel good about it at all.
Honestly, I don't feel good about it either. But we want to see.
By the way, real quick, just an update. We both picked the Browns to beat the Steelers. So right now I'm 12-6 on the year. Thomas, you're 10-8.
Awesome. Stay above 500.
Just to be clear. Next we got let's see, we're going to save those games till later. We got the Chiefs heading to Indianapolis to play the Colts. This one's really hard. I don't know who I'm going to pick. Who are you going to pick, Thomas?
It's really hard not to pick Mr. Matty Ice, man. Matty Ice, man, he's just been looking so good in blue. And like the Colts, man, they're just such a phenomenal team. And they play in just such an amazing division in the AFC South. So I just have to go with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm not going to spend too much time analyzing this. The Chiefs are still, even without Tyreek Hill, and with some of the changes they've had this offseason, like, the Chiefs are still – I don't think the Chiefs are as good as they were last year, but I do think the Chiefs are still a very good football team, and the Indianapolis Colts are not a very good football team. I think the Colts are going to be fighting for like a top 5 spot in the draft order this year. So
yeah, I agree.
So I'm picking the Chiefs, as are you. So next we got the Buffalo Bills traveling to Miami to play the Dolphins in what I don't think a lot of people expected to be a really, really good, exciting game. But I really like after what I've seen from the Dolphins lately, this might actually be a really good game.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good game too. Actually, these are two teams that know each other. I think Mike McDaniel's got that Dolphins team playing well. Tua's looking good. You say he had 6 touchdowns last week. That's insane.
Yeah, he was
against the Ravens. The Ravens traditionally do bring on defense. Maybe that's a final of maybe that is that indictment on the Ravens defense. We'll get to that later. I think Mike McDaniel is going to have that team fighting. I'm with you. I think it's going to be a very close game. I'm going to go with the Bills. Very tempted on making this my big upset of the week, actually, believe it or not. Only because I see how I can see the Dolphins upsetting the Bills. I can see it happening, especially since they're playing home. I can see it happening. I'm teetering. I'm tempted on pulling the trigger on that big upset of the week, but I don't think that the Bills' momentum is going to be held. Yeah, I think the Bills are going to kind of fall off a little later in the season, but I think Josh Allen's coming out hot, and I think he's going to have his head on fire for the first few weeks of the season. So I'm going with the Bills
That's fair. That's fair. I'm also going with the Bills. Would have been a good candidate for a big upset of the week, but
Might get them later in the season
Bills.
though. They might get them later in the season though. If the
They
Dolphins,
might.
they might.
Especially if the Dolphins stay in the playoff hunt, yeah, for sure.
I it's crazy. I don't know. See, the NFL is so crazy because like no matter what, teams start off like 8-0 in the NFL all the times, and teams start to adjust to those teams. It's a long season. It's insane how that works. I mean, the Steelers a couple years ago started 11-0, and then they got figured out real quickly. So we're gonna see how the Bills. The Bills are the real deal. I'm not saying the Bills. I'm not comparing the Bills to that Steelers fan. That's fool's gold. But I want to see how the season plays out before we start pounding them.
Mm-hmm. Right on. Yep. Like I said, I'm going with the Bills too. That I really do think that the Dolphins are have highly improved. Mike McDaniels was a phenomenal hire by the Dolphins. And I wouldn't be shocked if the Dolphins won this game. The Bills are so good this year, dude. Like it's hard to pick against them.
Yeah.
All right. Next game, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars going to Los Angeles to play what actually might be a home game for the Chargers, because I don't think the Jaguars fans do a lot of traveling.
The Jaguars playing. The Chargers playing at the Jaguars. The problem is the Chargers fans don't really travel either.
Well, yeah, no, it's in L.A.
Oh, it's in L.A.
That's what I'm saying. So this might actually for once be a home game for the Chargers, because I don't really see a whole lot of Jags fans coming.
What's up with Herbert?
I don't know.
Because Lawrence didn't look bad, man. Lawrence didn't look bad. Lawrence didn't look bad.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence is solid. Justin Herbert is currently listed as questionable. I know he had that. I know he had that rib injury.
Yeah. I got a feeling that he's gonna try and let it go. But from what I'm hearing is that he has man, you go first on this one, because I'm just here thinking to myself, this dude got bad ribs, man. You gotta throw. You gotta throw. That's an interesting one to me, because that's not as easy as it looks on paper.
Right. So I'm going first, and I'm picking the Jaguars. I'm not thinking about it too hard, because Justin Herbert, even if he does play, man, that rib injury, it's gonna slow him down. Jaguars are looking good. I think Doug Peterson has this team in a good spot. So, I mean, and quite frankly, I just don't believe in the Chargers. Period.
Okay. So I'm the only one.
No, I've never really been much of a believer in the Chargers. I mean, y'all got to show me some real something before. I mean, I know Justin Herbert's good, but I don't think that's enough. And especially with him being hurt, I think the Jags are going to take this game.
I'm going to piggyback off you. I'm going to piggyback off you. I try to do that, but I admittedly will. I just kind of wanted you to confirm some of my fears about the Chargers, because I have a lot of similar fears with the Chargers. It's just something about them don't convince me. I'm like, yeah, but I don't know. Just doesn't look like it's going to work to me. It's just something about it. I don't know. But yeah, give me the Jaguars.
All right, so next we got the Houston Texans traveling to Chicago to play the Bears. Lovie Smith returns to Chicago for, I believe, the first time since he was fired a long time ago. I can't remember. I can't remember if the Buccaneers, when Lovie Smith coached the Buccaneers, I can't remember if the Buccaneers ever played in Chicago, but I don't think he did. So Lovie Smith is, I believe, returning to Chicago for the first time as a head coach.
What's the Bears' record?
Bears are currently 1-1. The Texans are 0-1-1.
0-1. Just give me the Bears. Give me the Bears. Give me the Bears.
I'm gonna agree with you here. Davis Mills, fine quarterback. I kind of like what the Bears are doing this year. It's not perfect by any means, but I kind of like what the Bears are doing this year. So I kind of believe in the Bears. Not a whole lot, but I wouldn't be shocked to see them win that division, honestly, because the Vikings are the Vikings, and they beat the Packers, but then they looked awful against the Eagles. I don't know. Maybe the Vikings, but right now I think the Bears might be the best team in the division right now. I don't think it's the Packers. I'll tell you that right.
I'm probably the Bears fan, man. You just made that man happy.
I got cousins who were Bears fans. They've never understood why. They're not from Chicago. I never really got that one. They
Bears,
don't have anything to do with Chicago.
80s Bears were insane.
It might have something to do with the mid 80s Bears. I don't know. But anyway, that would have actually been around the time I think he was growing up. So that kind of makes sense. But anyway, next game we got the San Francisco. Oh wait, did you pick? I think you picked, right?
Pick the Bears.
Yeah. I couldn't remember. I didn't want to trample all over you. So anyway, we got the San Francisco 49ers traveling to Denver to play the Broncos.
You know what? Jimmy Garoppolo is always going to be Jimmy Garoppolo. But I want to go with the Broncos. I'm going to the Broncos. I think Russ and the Broncos is going to figure it out. I think that's going to be the team. I still just think that's just. See, and I struggle with this. See, it's so early in the season, so we don't know definitively what we're getting from these teams because there's so much movement from the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Russ might have took a step back. That might have been why Seattle was so anxious to get rid of him. He might have took a step back. He's getting up there in age, and he's a quarterback that relies on athleticism. And what we said about quarterbacks that relies on, it doesn't make sense that he would take a step back, but he's a shorter quarterback who's getting up there in age. This man's shorter than Baker Mayfield. So you got to ask yourself how much and then he got caught up in drama late in his career. So we're gonna start, I'm still gonna give him the benefit of the doubt because he's Russ. But maybe Seahawks were on something about him.
So here's what I was going to say earlier during the podcast. A lot of times you'll have a great player join a new team, and it takes them a while to adjust. I think that might be what's going on with Russell Wilson here in Denver. And I don't entirely know that it doesn't seem like it's imminent that they're going to get it figured out to me. I do think they're going to get it figured out eventually. I don't know that it's going to be this week. I think it's going to be at least a few more weeks. It might take them until the bye, honestly, and maybe after the bye they'll come out and they'll look a lot better. But I don't know, man. I'm going to disagree with you here on this one. I think the 49ers, for whatever reason, Jimmy Garoppolo makes that team tick. I don't know why, but Jimmy Garoppolo is a winning quarterback. He's not a very good quarterback all the time, but he is a winning quarterback and he wins games. And right now, I think the Broncos are still trying to figure out who the hell they even are. So I actually think the 49ers are going to take this game.
Okay, that's a good pick. I like it.
Next, we got the Detroit Lions traveling to Minnesota to play the Vikings in a divisional game.
Give me. You go first.
I'm kind of two minds on this one. I like the Lions somewhat this year. I actually think Dan Campbell was a great coaching hire by them, and he's been showing it. I don't entirely love Jared Goff, but I mean he's looked fine so far. So I don't know. And after last week, I struggle to believe in the Vikings at all. But then again, it was prime time, so maybe that's it. This game is not going to be in prime time, so Kirk Cousins will not be cursed in this game. So this one's tough for me. Like my heart says the Lions, but my brain says the Vikings. So,
yeah, I'm kind of in a similar scenario. I want to go with the give me the I'm actually going to still go with the Vikings, even though they have their problems.
Yeah, I'm going to very tentatively pick the Vikings in this one. But if the Lions win, I'm going to be coming on this podcast during the recap of the predictions, and I'm going to be like, you know what? I had a feeling that the Lions might take this one, so I'm just setting myself up for like this is another one of those games where I'm really kind of torn on. Like the Lions really could win, but I just think it's going to be a bit much going into Minnesota, and Kirk Cousins tends to have a tendency to bounce back from bad games. So I'm gonna go with the Vikings probably. I don't feel great about it though.
I'm completely with you. I also don't feel great about my pick either. I don't feel great about my pick at all.
No. All right. So next up, we got the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Commanders.
Ooh, the Commies versus the Eagles. Give me the Eagles, actually. I think Jalen Hurts look good.
Fair.
Take that, you Commies.
I'm gonna take
I hate
I'm gonna take Washington.
You suck, Carson.
But that's the problem. He doesn't. Carson Wentz has actually been much better than anything Washington's had at quarterback for a while now. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick is like solid, but like Carson Wentz, oddly enough, might be like the best quarterback that the Washington football team has had in a while, and he's playing quite well. I know they lost the Lions last week, but Carson Wentz had a pretty good game. He certainly wasn't perfect by any means. He did have a interception. He was sacked like 5 times. But I think Carson Wentz is doing a good job there. So I'm going to give this one to the Commanders. I think the Eagles might ever so slightly be frauds. I don't think Jalen Hurts is a fraud, but I think the Eagles as a whole might be frauds. So I don't know that they're going to keep up this momentum.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got the New Orleans Saints traveling to Carolina to play the Panthers. What you got?
Give me the Panthers for the first one of the season. I mean, I think Baker's going to get hot one of these games. I just don't think the NFC is that good still. I mean, I know the Saints, they have a solid defense, but the Saints don't really thrill me for real. I mean, they don't. I'm sorry, they don't. I mean, I get it. You know. I mean, but like Drew Brees ain't quarterbacking them. Sean Payton ain't coaching them. They don't. I mean, I know they got some ballers there, but it just.
You're right. You're right.
I just don't think the Saints are that good. I just don't.
But here's the thing, like
they might be.
I'm picking the Saints in this game, and here's why. Because I sort of agree with you. I don't think the Saints are that good, and I don't think the Saints are going to win a whole lot of games this year. I think they'll be like a 6-7 win football team. But I think the Panthers are horrible. Like I mean, I do think that Baker Mayfield's better than the way he's been playing. But I also know that Baker Mayfield has a tendency to kind of like flounder a little bit when the coaching isn't perfect. And Matt Rule is a bad coach. Like I think we can officially say at this point, Matt Rule is
he's a horrible coach.
He ain't it. He's going to get fired before the end of the year.
Well, Baker Mayfield bad coaches though.
The Panthers are absolutely just dog shit this year, dude.
Yes.
Like I do not believe in the Panthers in any way, shape, or form. They may be the number 1 overall draft pick, honestly.
It might be.
They might be. And I feel bad for Baker because I like Baker.
This game. We're gonna figure out this game, honestly. But I think the Panthers win this game. I think Baker's gonna get a hot one of these games.
Like I said, I feel bad for Baker. I just do not believe in the team around him at all. But then again, that wasn't all that much different than how I mostly felt about him when he was in Cleveland. So Baker's just cursed.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Falcons traveling to Seattle to play the Seahawks. Who you got?
Falcons play Seattle. Playing Seattle. Give me the Seahawks.
Seattle.
Give me the Seahawks because the Falcons are actually my pick for the number 1 overall pick. And I think they're bad.
I also think the Falcons are bad. I think they'll be competing.
I think the Falcons are horrible. I think the Falcons are. Ugh. So give me the Seahawks.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you here. Falcons are not very good. Seahawks, I don't think are great, but I think they're better than the Falcons, and it's also in Seattle, so
yeah,
I think they'll be. I think they'll be okay. But I don't know if I think the Falcons are going to be competing. They're going to be up there with the Panthers and the Colts for that top 5 draft pick like carousel. It's not looking good in Atlanta at all. They need a quarterback, and I'm sorry, Marcus Mariota, you ain't it.
Yeah, he's not. I mean, he's athletic, yeah, but he ain't it. I'm just gonna watch him just burn. I hope the Browns are taking notes on Sunday. Just watch him burn. Just sit back and just watch.
Yep,
it'll be fine.
All right, L.A. Rams, Arizona Cardinals. In Arizona, what you got?
Arizona bounced back. It's usually later in the season. Arizona usually take the step back. I don't think the Rams. The Rams are getting old. They're getting old. They're getting older. Age is going to catch up with them, and it does look like some of their players did kind of take a step back. I mean, they're still the champions. But Arizona didn't look bad. And Arizona always come out hot in the beginning of the year, so I'm actually going to go with Arizona over the Rams.
I agree. I think I you know how I feel about the Cardinals and Cliff Kingsbury, but I also don't think the Cardinals are awful. And I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is an awful coach. I just don't think he's what the Cardinals need to be a great team. But I have my skepticisms about the Rams. It's just the Bengals and Rams both have shown a lot of weaknesses despite being the 2 Super Bowl teams last year. And while I do think the Rams are starting off better than the Bengals, I also think they're flashing a lot of weaknesses that it's not great. So as much as I don't entirely believe in the Cardinals, I got to agree with you. I think they're going to take this one, especially because it's in Arizona.
Yeah.
All right. Green Bay Packers traveling to Tampa Bay to play the Buccaneers, who have a tendency to have the Packers number.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one. The Buccaneers. The Packers got a lot of problems, man. Here's the thing, though. I'm going to say this. Aaron Rodgers don't really look like he's a real man right now. How long can you keep throwing these princess fits and isolating your teammates until people just start to get annoyed by you, dude? Mm-hmm. And I know you're good. I know Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers. No indictment of Aaron Rodgers as a player. But y'all busted Baker Mayfield's ass for his attitude. Just saying, man, your talent is great, but you gotta, when you're a quarterback, you gotta be a leader of man. And I just don't think that Aaron Rodgers has the pulse of the locker room to beat Tom Brady right now. Give me Tampa Bay.
Yep. I feel you. I think Tom Brady's pissed off. It seems like something might be going on at home, and I think that might be leading to Tom Brady being even more pissed off. And when Tom Brady's pissed off, things do not end well for other teams.
Yeah.
So I don't really believe in the Packers right now. the Packers. I know like they seemingly crushed the Bears, but the fact of the matter is that game was a little bit uglier than what the final score indicates, especially earlier in that game. And then the way they played against the Vikings week 1, I don't know. I'm not really feeling the Packers right now. So I'm and the Buccaneers are fine. So I'm going to go with the Buccaneers. All right. And then last non-AFC North game that we need to talk about. So we got the Dallas Cowboys traveling to New York to play the Giants. Who you got, Thomas?
It was a fun one. Cowboys look good against y'all, but I don't think they're going to keep on going though. Actually, I'm going to go with the Giants, man. Giants go 3-0, start off the season. Saquon looking nice.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I am going to. This is kind of cheating, but I'm doing it anyway. I'm going to make this one my big upset of the week. Mm-hmm. So I think that I said earlier that the Eagles are frauds. I also think the Giants are frauds.
Yeah, probably. They're playing the Cowboys.
So I think the Giants are overrated as hell right now. And for that reason, and not to mention like the Cowboys, like you said they looked good against us. They didn't really look good against us. They flashed a little bit. Cooper Rush looked better than you'd think he would against us, but the Cowboys didn't look great against us. Again, this just goes back to the fact that like the Bengals, the fact that they are 0-2 instead of 2-0 right now is ridiculous because the teams they've played have not done very well, and they somehow lost to those teams. But the Cowboys, I don't like the Cowboys like. I think people are a little higher on them right now than they really need to be, or a little. I think they're a little higher on the Cowboys than they need to be, but I think they're way too high on the Giants right now.
Yeah.
And so like while this, I don't necessarily think this is that huge of an upset, but considering what the national perception is right now. I think the Cowboys beating the Giants, everybody would be like, "Whoa, I didn't see that coming," but you probably should. So I'm picking the Cowboys because you suck, Daniel Jones. That's why.
Except Carson. They're both in the NFC East. Both of our quarterback enemies are in the NFC East.
Yeah,
it's cool. It's cool. They get Lamar Jackson next year. That one not be funny.
And then another one of my quarterback enemies, Cooper Rush, is also in the NFC East. Which is funny because I love Dak Prescott. And then who's the other quarterback? Oh, Jalen Hurts. I don't have any problem with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
he's fine. I like him.
He's cool.
All right. AFC North games. And then we're gonna have to
start.
I gotta get going soon, so we're gonna have to breeze through the state of the AFC North.
All right, let's go. I'm ready. Let's get the last two games predicted.
Let's talk about these AFC North games. So let's start with the Ravens and the Patriots.
Okay, can I go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to make this my big upset of the week. Actually, I want to go with the Patriots over the Ravens. I think there's some problems. The Ravens have some problems. They showed some problems after losing to the Dolphins. And I think that the Patriots are going to be able to take advantage of those problems early in the season. I just think that Lamar Jackson is going to have a very lukewarm game against Bill Belichick tomorrow or Sunday. So I think Bill Belichick got something in the bag of tricks for Lamar Jackson. And I think there's some issues in the Baltimore Ravens organization. So, get Lamar Jackson frustrated and talking about just get him frustrated with the organization. Get him Lamar Jackson's head a little bit. Let's see what happens. I'm going with the Patriots.
Fair.
Big upset of the week.
I sort of is that a big upset?
Yeah.
Are the Ravens?
I'm thinking about it. I think it's upset because I don't really think the Patriots are going to be that good this year. I think the Ravens could be good this year.
Possibly true. I can see. Really, honestly, it's really hard to come up with a big upset right now because most of the NFL is just kind of mid. There aren't really any great teams right now.
Oh, there's Bills.
Yeah, right. And we both picked the Bills. So.
We'll pick the Bills. These motherfuckers.
I think the NFL is just very evenly matched across the board right now.
Yeah.
But so I am going to pick the Ravens in this game. Because like I just the Patriots just don't look good, man. Like, I mean, I'm Bill Belichick, still Bill Belichick, but like, I mean, Mac Jones looks more like the quarterback that I thought he was going to be.
They were without.
And I mean, like the Ravens, I think the Ravens are due for a bounce back game after that embarrassment they just had. So it just feels like this is the kind of game the Ravens win, right? So I'm gonna go with the Ravens on this one.
It's still Belichick.
I know, but it's still the Ravens.
That's true. We'll see.
It's just the kind of game they typically win. But anyway, last game we got to predict: Bengals at Jets.
Bengals. I'm not going to think too hard about this, man. We already talked about this, man. Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
No. Give me the Bengals.
We don't need to talk about this too much because we already talked about it plenty earlier. The Bengals own Joe Flacco. They like throughout the years they are his daddy, and they will continue to be. The Bengals will beat the Jets. I don't like by no means should they overlook them because they made that mistake last year. And I swear to God, if they lose to the Jets again, I'm going to be so y'all are going to want to tune into the podcast because it's going to be entertaining for y'all if the Bengals lose because I will be very upset and very angry. But I just realistically don't think they will. It's just like the Bengals are due for a bounce back game. I don't think that they're going to look like crap a third week in a row. I just don't. I think they're gonna start getting something going this week, but we'll have to see.
By the way, shout out to everybody on TikTok watching. By the way, shout out to everybody on TikTok watching. We had about 50 people watching TikTok at one point. So. Oh
yeah, well there you go. Shout out to you TikTokers. But anyway, I really got to get going. We got started on this way later than we intended to, like an hour later than we intended to. So I got to get going. But real quick, let's breeze through the state of the AFC North real quick. The Ravens, I don't think we need to say much more about the Ravens than we already did. The Ravens aren't really interesting right now.
We're going to roast on Monday. Tune in Monday after the Ravens lose.
If the Ravens lose, well, I'll have some stuff to say, but right now I ain't got much to say. It's the Ravens. They're kind of boring right now, honestly. Now the Steelers. I got like 5 minutes.
Oh, you go ahead. I'm just gonna sip this water. Go ahead.
I feel you, dude. But I got like 5 minutes. I'm only gonna take like 2, but I got some shit to say about this football team, dude. I am so sick and tired of watching the Pittsburgh Steelers get away with some of the dirtiest play I've ever seen from a football team consistently. I know we had Vontaze Burfict. I tried talking to some Steelers fans about this. They're like, you're probably just still salty about week 1. It's like, shut up, dude. The Steelers are such an incredibly dirty football team, and they get away with it because it's Steeler football, and they make the NFL all this money because they've been successful over the years. But nobody ever does anything about it. The refs didn't do anything about Chuck Okorafor elbow dropping Anthony Walker into the goddamn hospital.
Yeah.
When it was clearly visible on the screen, nobody did anything about it, and I guarantee you, the NFL might give them like, oh, there's a $10,000 fine or something like that. They're gonna brush under the rug. Nothing's gonna happen to the Steelers, even though they constantly do this stuff. The Steelers are the dirtiest team in the NFL, and they have been for years, but nobody talks about it because they win a bunch of games. I'm tired of it. I'm sick and tired of it. The Steelers are a dirty organization, and the fact that they're bad right now is karma. I hope they stay bad forever because they deserve it. They're an absolute. They are a disgrace of an organization, and I don't understand how they're constantly getting away with it.
I just think that this is just going to be the year that we see Mike Tomlin get fired. And, I'm like, I just think that, like, Mike Tomlin let his players do whatever the hell he want. And, like, this comes from a Browns fan. You're talking about a guy who had Deshaun Watson and Myles Garrett on the team who hit somebody inside the head with a helmet. Well, yes, hit somebody inside the head with a helmet because one of those players allegedly said something to him. You had running backs of the Steelers smoking weed in the parking lot before getting on an airplane. You have receivers going crazy. You have quarterbacks saying what they want. You have a real character issue in Pittsburgh, and it shows up on the field constantly, and they just get away with it because they're the Steelers, and we just look past it because they're the Steelers. But no, I mean, like I really question. I really do question Mike Tomlin's pedigree. I really do question how well Mike Tomlin is keeping his team in order. I really do question that. And now that he doesn't have Big Ben, a veteran quarterback, a guy that can show that leadership, now that they don't have that leadership aspect and they have this horrible offense, their fans know it. Their fans are scared. Their fans looked very defeated yesterday. The Pittsburgh Steelers fans left that game with 5 minutes on the clock. Pittsburgh Steelers fans filed out of that stadium. Even though we talked about the Browns maybe losing that game, Pittsburgh Steelers fans knew they were going to lose that game. Pittsburgh Steelers fans were very nervous going into that game because they have to fear the things you just said. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to have the worst season in recent memory. And I'm going to say this on this podcast. I want to make my second hot take on this podcast outside of saying the Jags are going to win the division. Mike Tomlin's going to get fired.
I think it's going to take a lot to get Mike Tomlin fired, honestly.
I think he's going to be after the season, though. I think he's going to get the season, but I think at the end of the season,
I don't. I think the Steelers could not win a single game the whole rest of the year, and I don't think Tomlin will get fired. You know why? Yeah. Because that's also the Steeler way, Thomas.
Well, keep him. Keep him though, because you know what though, it's not. It doesn't look like I don't think that. I think that every single coach have an expiration date. I think every single coach have an expiration date. Just some have more than others. Yeah. Obviously, Bill Belichick had the longest, but even Andy Reid got fired. Bill Belichick got fired. You lose that quarterback, lose that franchise quarterback. How many times can you catch lightning in a bottle? Because if Kenny Pickett ain't the shiznit, then. And y'all having these problems, y'all having these culture problems, they're gonna be like, well, let's try mixing up the culture. Because Kenny Pickett comes out and look bad, and they're like, man, if Kenny Pickett looks bad and they see some potential in him, they're gonna try to remarry Kenny Pickett with another coach. I can see them doing that before they.
But I just don't. I don't think it's gonna happen this year. That's the
thing.
It's very slow.
It's too early. It's way too early. They can come back. They are the Steelers. They are the Steelers, as much as I hate them. They always find some way to win.
Oh, I don't even think they're necessarily going to win. I just don't think the Steelers are going to move. They're a very slow team to move on stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're not going to admit that they need to rebuild. They're just going to keep doing what they're doing because that's
if they do that. They want to slow down a rebuild. Like
that's what I'm saying. They're going to.
They already pushed back the rebuild 3 years. Like they should be farther than where they at right. They should have been prepared for this. They're not. They're not prepared for this at all. They had plenty of time to prepare for this.
That's exactly why I say Tomlin isn't getting fired because
they should have drafted a quarterback in the first round 3 years ago.
How they operate.
They should have. Yeah,
no. They should have. But I think that's pretty much going to be it for this episode of the Battle of Ohio podcast, guys. I got to run. I'm already like a half hour late. But it's okay because trying to get it in when we can get it in, and we took a little longer than normal to get going today. That's just kind of what happened. But anyway, if you enjoy the content, don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. Go check us out on Spotify. We're on Spotify and subscribe to us there. We're having some issues with the RSS feed right now, so I don't know if it's actually being updated on Spotify right now, but it will be eventually. So, subscribe if you want to catch it on Spotify because we're going to get back on that at the very least. But you can catch more of what I do at Kyle Phelps 92 on Twitter, Facebook.com/Phelps, my YouTube channel, which is just Kyle Phelps, which I have not been posting game previews all year because kind of like my plan for game previews got kind of tossed up in the air, and I kind of need to get back to it. I do plan on streaming the Jets game, which just like last year will be my first stream of the year.
Looking forward to that.
I should have streamed the Cowboys game, but I didn't. So that's just kind of how that happened. But
looking forward to that.
But that's like I said, at Kyle Phelps 92 on Twitter and Kyle Phelps on YouTube. Go check it out. Thomas, you can find more what he does at T_star94 on Twitter and Instagram, and then he's the Thomas J Network on TikTok and YouTube, and always putting out good content. Go check out all these music videos that he's putting out. It's good stuff, guys. Promise you won't regret it. But that's pretty much all I got for today, guys. It's pretty much all that we got for today in general. So I'll leave y'all with a hooday.
Pittsburgh sucks. Go Browns. God, that's just so funny channels yesterday.
I like that half of that.